Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy my painting tutorials. And today we'll be painting a landscape. Yay! It's been a while since the last time I painted a landscape. And yeah, I've been doing still life paintings lately. So today I decided to do something different because I do my practice that way. Like I shift from one subject to another just to not bore myself because I get bored so easily. So today we'll be using only a few colors, and most of them, if not all, are quite familiar to most of you if you've been painting along with me for quite some time now. So here are the colors that we'll be using for today's tutorial. We have burnt sienna, mid yellow, or you can use your cadmium yellow, phthalo green, phthalo blue, and titanium white. So let's begin now. Of course, guys, black. We have to use black today because I always use my black. Some people don't really prefer to use black. They prefer Payne's gray, but for me, I really prefer black because the intensity of the colors, I can adjust. I can lighten it by simply adding white or brown to it. With Payne's gray, it's too light for me that if I want something really, really dark, I cannot really adjust my Payne's gray. So I'd rather use a darker tone so that I can adjust it and make it lighter. Okay, so let's begin now. I'll be sketching first my subject, and I'll be linking in the description box below the reference image for this painting tutorial. And for the sketch, I'll be using my paint straight away because this is a landscape painting, so it does not really need too much accuracy when it comes to shapes. It only needs good suggestion of shapes, meaning that the shape should not really depart from what the reality is. So let's begin now. So for the sketch, I'll be using first my green. I'll be adding some black. Actually, this is just the sketch. It really doesn't matter what color you use. This is only for purposes of letting you know what the painting would look like, or just to give you an overview of how will this end. So let's begin sketching now. So this will be, so the horizon line will be right in the middle of my canvas. So it's like here. And then there will be some trees. Okay, there will be some trees here, like pine trees. And then there will be some smaller trees. Actually, guys, I'm saying, or I'm talking about, or I'm telling you that they are smaller, they are bigger, but in reality, they are just of the same sizes, only that one is farther from the other. So it makes the object look smaller and the other one look bigger. But scientifically speaking, it's all about the distance. It's nothing about the size. So here will be a grassy land. Okay, right here. It's all grass. So the water part will be the middle part, of course, and the sky will be this space that you see. So that's it. That's basically our sketch. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess you can see where things are going to go later. So now I'm gonna underpaint my canvas. I'm gonna use, for the trees, I'm just gonna use black and green together like this and start underpainting it. Okay, so again, phthalo green plus black makes some dark greeny color, and this is only for purposes of underpainting it. This is not the exact colors of what we're trying to achieve here. We will also be using our palette knives later. Actually, just one palette knife. So just be ready with that. As you can see, I'm very loose when it comes to my sketch. I think sketching part also helps us identify or already give the painting the proportion that it needs, because sometimes we lose track of the distance and the sizes of things when we get caught up with the painting process. We forget about the size of our canvas. Later, I will mention the size of this canvas paper that I'm using. But in all honesty, guys, it doesn't really matter to me the size of the canvas when it comes to watching other people paint. Why? Because you can always choose the canvas size that you want for yourself. And you can always adjust it according to the area that you want to paint along with. So for example, your canvas size is pretty much squarish, only here. Maybe you can paint something like in the middle, something like that, and just capture the middle portion of the image. Or if you're using a longer canvas, you can extend further the trees up to here. It's just like that for me. I know that we have different opinions about letting other people know our canvases. Besides, I don't lose anything when I say my canvas size. But I'm just telling you guys that if I miss telling you or the canvas size of my painting, doesn't mean that your painting will be ruined or you will not be able to paint along with me. I'm just saying. So for the underpainting of the grass, I'll be using my pure phthalo green. Maybe I'm gonna add a tiny bit of brown. Again, this is just the underpainting. You could have used the same color actually. But again, this is the underpainting. We will be painting over it later. Okay, here as well. I'm using a spring type of notebook. Alright, so that will be the underpainting for the trees and the grasses. I'm gonna wash my brush out. You can actually use another brush, but I'm just gonna use the same brush. I'm just gonna wash it well so that the green does not mix with the next color that I'll be using, and that is phthalo blue plus white. So I'm gonna add phthalo and then white together to create that light blue color. If you have your cerulean blue, that would be good. But I kind of want to mix because, yeah, I just want to mix and use the basic colors that most of you guys have. So for that, I'll be using my white and blue and mix together. And I'll be using this color to create the water. Okay, it will be up to here. All right, like that. All right, and I'll be using the same color to underpaint my sky. So again, just wetting my brush and mixing the same colors, white and phthalo blue together. And we're gonna do the sky. Okay, like that. So basically we've underpainted everything, the sky and the land portion. Now let's go into more detailing. So for the detailing, I'll be using, okay, okay, let's proceed to doing some trees. All right. So I don't mind the blue mixing with my green because green has blue to it if it's mixed with yellow. I mean, green has the blue color to it if it's mixed with yellow, right? So again, I'm gonna mix some tiny bit of yellow and tiny bit of brown. Maybe this color, it's like muted green. And I'll be using this color to create some shapes of trees. So I'm just dabbing on in a vertical position like this. Like my paintbrush is like it's not tilted or anything like that. It's pointing straight. Okay, like that. So hard to explain, guys. So I'm just gonna dab it like this, creating the shape of trees or the distant trees. Okay, I'll be adding some more trees. I don't know if you can see. Yes, you can see that. I'm gonna get my yellow, tiny bit, okay? Tiny bit just to kind of make some highlights. Just tiny bit, guys. Because this area is quite dark compared to this area. So don't over highlight the right side. Okay, I'm getting some light colors. I'm gonna get my black. And using this black, we're gonna create some shadows and depth. We'll be using our palette knife later when we do more detailing on this area. Okay, for now, let's just do it one by one. And like allow things to layer. Also this side, okay? All right, like that. I'm gonna allow that first to dry, okay? It's not yet the details that we want to see. I'm gonna wash my brush out. Let's go and make some detailing on this grassy part. So we'll be using the same thing, only that we're not creating trees here. We'll be creating some grasses. So in the same manner, the brush is not tilted, but I am applying my brush strokes as if I'm creating the grasses. Or I'm planting grasses, that's what I mean. Okay, like that. So I'm just dabbing. I'm not really smearing anything here. I'm just dabbing and allowing my paintbrush to create that grass-like brush strokes that I want. I'm gonna dab onto my black to create some depth as well. So this is quite fun. You can actually make children do this stuff. It's not really super hard. It's actually fun. Okay, so I'm gonna alternately use my yellows and greens and black, and the purpose is to create that irregular patterns that we see in nature. We'll be using our fan brush later to create more details on the grassy part of this painting. Okay. For now, let's just use our normal brush to create the details. Oops. So there, I'm creating some grass-like brush strokes. I'm going to use my pure green to create different shades of green. Okay, again, I'm gonna switch to black to apply some depth and shadows. Alright. Okay, now let's create some sky. We'll create the clouds. We're gonna allow things first to dry, just like what we did here on the pine tree area. So with your white, okay, we're going to mix tiny bit of blue to that. Just make some light blue color like this. You can add tiny bit of black just to tone down the color, because we don't want super white sky at the moment. Then I'm gonna dry brush. So I'm gonna create some clouds. So just rotate your brush as if you're creating soft circles. Like that, here. Okay, I'm gonna use my finger to also help me blend the color. Let's create tiny bits of clouds. All right, so that's basically the underpainting for the clouds. We're going to highlight it later. Like that. Now using your pure white, get your pure white. Let's go back to the, okay, this is not pure white because the blue is still mixing. So I'm gonna get more of my white paint because I already ran out. I already ran out of my white. So I'm gonna use, maybe I'm just gonna use another brush so that the blue does not mix. So with a clean brush, I'm just gonna highlight, okay, the clouds. Like that. All right, like that. So I'm gonna allow that first to dry before we do more highlighting later. Let's proceed to the water. Remember that what is reflected in the water are things above it. So we should reflect the sky and also the trees here. But the trees are not really reflected that much. Sky is. So I'm gonna use my white, the existing white paint that I have on my paintbrush. And I'm just gonna identify where the light colors are gonna, okay, my black is mixing. So where the light colors are gonna go. So it should be here. And I'm doing it quite horizontally. Later we'll do some vertical lines, but for now let's just do horizontal. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of blue. Maybe add a tiny bit of black to kind of gray down the whiteness of this color. And then as you go down, it should be quite thicker, like that. Okay, softer brush strokes. And then as you go down, it becomes a little thicker and harder. Okay, now I'm gonna dry brush. I'm gonna use this white color that is already on my paintbrush. I'm gonna remove the excess water. Let's go back to the sky, and we kind of want to lighten a bit. Oops, my green is still wet, but it's all right. I can fix that. We kind of want to lighten the sky near the horizon line. Like that. Just lighten it a bit. Okay, like that. Okay. Okay, now get your black paint. Let's create some. It should be really, really dark right here on the right side. All right, like that. Okay, let's create some more land portion here. It's like an island. I'm gonna get my green. Okay, I'm gonna get my brown to tone down the color. Let's create another land portion. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of yellow right here. Just like that. Okay, I'm just going to make some more grasses. Anyway, I'm gonna get my black and let's separate those trees from the horizon line. Okay, like that. I'm gonna get my what's this, palette knife. I'm gonna dab onto my white and some black to create some gray color. All right, and I'm gonna use this gray to emphasize even more the water. So I'm gonna do some horizontal application using my palette knife to create more water details. So I'm just applying it horizontally. Okay, I think that was too much. I'm gonna remove that. Like that. Okay, now I'm gonna use this palette knife for the trees. I'm gonna dab onto my existing green color and yellow and maybe brown. Okay, maybe tiny bit of black just to tone down the color, and green, so it's just like muted green. I'm gonna try to use this to create some trees. I don't know if it's gonna work. So I'm just applying it this way. And that. Okay, and then with my yellow, I'm gonna add some yellow. Let's create some lighter colored trees here. And some highlighted colors or highlighted trees on the right side. Like that. Okay, let's try to use our palette knife on the grass. So I'm just applying it using the edge of my palette knife, like this, to create some grass-like brush strokes. I'm gonna get my brown. I'm gonna apply some browny colors here and there just to balance the colors. We kind of don't want it to be just green and yellows because it's just not natural for the nature to have that pure green and yellow. I don't know, maybe it's just my way of looking at things, but for me, nature is really imperfect, and that what makes it really, really nice when you look at it. Okay, I'm gonna dab onto my black. I'm gonna try to add some depth. Okay, I'm applying it quite randomly. I don't care where it applies, but I'm just gonna apply it because it has to be there. It's up to you to decide where to actually place the depth, but it should be there. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna use my fan brush. Okay, you don't have to wet your brush because we'll be doing some texture here. So I'm gonna use my fan brush to apply some grass, and I'm gonna use my yellow mixed with tiny bit of green to create some yellow greeny color. And I'm gonna make some grass like brush strokes. Okay, like that. I'm gonna get my black, and again I'm just gonna make some dark colored grasses, not because they are dark but because of absence of light. So this is not the highlighted portion of the grass. They are still green when you look at them, but because of the absence of light you don't really see the green color. I hope that makes sense, guys. All right, now you can actually wash this or not. I'm gonna use my yellow mixed with white. We're going to make some more highlights. So with this light yellow, okay, with the use of white, we're going to apply some light. So I'm gonna apply quite randomly on some grasses this color because it will highlight this area. And don't overdo this one because light is quite absent in this area. So only sparingly, and like that. I think that's enough. All right, and then I'm gonna use this as well to highlight the trees. All right, like that. Again, do not highlight too much. Okay. All right, now, all right, like that. I'm gonna wash my fan brush now because I don't need too much yellow at this point. So I'm gonna get my green. Actually, I'm gonna mix it with brown. So I'm gonna create some dark green, or maybe I'll just get a new green, but we'll see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna create more trees. Don't cover the highlights though, just create something like this. Okay, I'm gonna add tiny bit of yellow, but not too much. Just hints of fullness of leaves. Don't overdo this because there's really not too much light going on the right side. Okay, just tiny bit like that. Right. Okay, I'm gonna get my black just to create some like grasses. Like that. All right, I'm gonna wash my brush out. And I think I just have to correct the land portion. Get my yellow greeny color. Let's make some highlights right here. Like just tiny bit, guys. Do not overdo the highlighting portion. Okay, now this should be really, really bright because the light is coming from the right side. So the left side is going to be lighter in color and the right side will be darker. Right, so I'm just gonna like glaze it, something like that. Right, like that. So by glazing it, you save yourself a lot of time in going into super detailed painting, but you get the result that you want. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get some light blue, lighter than what we already did. So I'm gonna use this light blue to kind of lighten some parts of the water. Not all, but just some areas like that. Then on the sky portion as well. Okay, now I'm going to get some darker blues and I'm gonna use that around this area. Just kind of darken it. To give our painting some sort of perspective. Okay, I'm using darker blues in some areas. Also, on the sky part. It's like that. Like that. I think this area needs more depth, right? Like it looks really flat. So I'm gonna add darker greens and blacks just to give it some depth, because I don't want it to be looking flat. Right, like that. I'm gonna get some light green color. Maybe I'm gonna add white to make it even lighter. And I'm gonna use that to highlight some trees from the left side. Like that. And tiny bit on the right side. But definitely more on the left side, okay? And since the light is hitting the left side, I'm gonna change the water a bit, okay? I'm gonna glaze it with some white, like this, but I'm not really covering it entirely. I'm just trying to like glaze it as if I'm putting some lace cloth on this area. Okay, and let's make some reflections because I kind of lost the reflections here. Okay, I'm gonna use some more white just to emphasize my clouds. This is just pure white. Okay, I'm gonna make it centered. Like that. Like that. Okay. I'm gonna use again my palette knife just to add more water detailing. Like that. Maybe some depth. This is really nice, guys. Very simple and I kind of like it. I'm gonna create some deeper blue colors. Like that. All right. Oh, this is nice, guys. Okay. Wow, this is very, very nice. Okay. If you need to add more depth, you can always do that. It's quite impressionistic. No, actually, it's impressionistic. Okay. So I'm gonna sign this painting now because I can hear that my neighbor is having a vacuum cleaning thing. So I'm gonna sign this now. Okay. Right here. And the painting is done, guys. So see you in my next video. I hope you enjoy this one. And yeah, like this video if you really like this one. Share this with your friends. And let me know in the comment section below how do you find this painting, if you like it or if you're painting along with me. Bye, guys. Love you.